So we're into the end of the 4th chapter of Yoma, and we're in this game of Manishtana. Why is this day different from all other days? And the Mishnah seems to be very, very interested in establishing exactly what the differences are and what we can learn from. And it's going to finish off the chapter in this vein before at the beginning of the 5th chapter, going back to the timeline, going back to the ritual of Yom Kippur. So in the same style, we're going to ask, B'chol Yom, on all normal days, Kohanim olim b'mizrach shel kevesh v'yordim b'ma'aravo. On all other days, on all normal days, on all other nights, if you like, the priest would go up on the east side of the ramp and come down on the west side. So there's this long ramp which is leading up to the altar. There's all kinds of things which have to be carried up and down, all different parts of sacrificial animals. They go up on the east and come down on the west. They go up on the east and come down in the west because they don't want to crash into one another, right? The last thing you want are Kohanim crashing into each other on the ramp. And of course, there's a mound of stuff that has to be taken up and down. We already said, even for an ordinary Tamid offering, we need 12 priests to carry everything up and down. So they're going to go up in the east and come down on the west. And again, you get the sense that the temple is well organized, it's well engineered. They're processing this vast quantity of animals, and they know how to do it without accidents or without interruption. But Vehayom, on this day, Vehayom Kohen Gadol ole be'emtza, veyored be'emtza. On this day, the Kohen Gadol goes up in the middle, and he comes down in the middle. It's just him performing the sacrifice, and of course, so we don't have this race with multiple Kohanim. So he can walk up the middle and walk down the middle. And Rabbi Yehuda is going to disagree. Rabbi Yehuda omer olam Kohen Gadol ole be'emtza. The high priest always goes up in the middle and comes down in the middle. Olam Kohen Gadol ole be'emtza veyored be'emtza. It's very interesting, as if Rabbi Yehuda is saying, no, this is not a special kavod for the day. This is a special kavod for the Kohen Gadol. On any day, he goes up and down in the middle. But the ordinary opinion of the Mishnah is that this is not a personal thing. This is about the day itself. On this day, we do something different. And the Mishnah continues. It's like poetry. There's a parallel case. On an ordinary day, the high priest sanctifies his hands from the kior, from the laver, from the washstand. This day, from a special golden ladle, special golden kind of washing bucket. And Rabbi Yehuda is going to say, Rabbi Yehuda omer lo olam Kohen Gadol mekadesh yadav v'raglav min hakiton shel zahav. Rabbi Yehuda says that high priest always sanctifies his hands and feet from a golden ladle. And again, Rabbi Yehuda is saying, oh, no, this is something to do with the Kohen Gadol personally. But the opinion in the Mishnah is that this is a special day, and we behave differently on this day. Similarly, B'chol Yom, you can see the poetry here in this. It's the poetry, it's the verbal repetition. This Mishnah has been designed to be repeated off by heart. B'chol Yom hayu sham arba'am arakot v'hayom chamesh divrei Rabbi Meir. The stam Mishnah, by the way, is normally Rabbi Meir. So I presume that the previous Mishnah is Rabbi Meir, but here we actually say Rabbi Meir. On other days, there were 4 wood piles there. V'hayom chamesh. On this day, there were 5. So why do we need 4 wood piles? Well, I think one is for the eternal flame. One is to keep one is for burning the limbs that were left over. One's for the eternal flame. One is for just to generate enough nice hot embers. Remember we said earlier that the Kohen Gadol is going to go right to the middle of the fire to get the nice hot embers for the incense. I think the last one actually is to get I think the last one is a special one for I think the last one is a special one for the incense. But let me check in Kahati and come back to you. There are 4. On this day, there are going to be 5, because on this day, we're going to have a separate fire to generate the coals for the incense. So on this day, we're going to have 5, according to Rabbi Meir. Rabbi Yossi Omer b'chol yom shalosh. Rabbi Yossi says, look, we don't need a special fire to burn the extra limbs, which are just left over for burning. But we still have the extra one, Yom Arba. So Rabbi Yossi goes from 3 to 4. Rabbi Yehuda Omer b'chol yom shtayim. Rabbi Yehuda says on other days 2. Rabbi Yehuda doesn't think that we need a special fire just to keep the eternal fire burning, because he thinks that the fire will always stay burning. And on this day, there are 3. So we have slightly different opinions, but we agree somehow that this day is different. And there are Pesukim for all of these. And we can go back and track back through the Pesukim. But I don't want to take time to do that, because I want to start the next chapter, which goes back to the timeline. Now we are going to actually put the incense in the Kodesh Kodeshim, in the Holy of Holies. So they brought out the ladle and the pan. And remember that according to the Pharisees, the high priest is going to go into the Holy of Holies with the ladle and with the pan separately. The incense doesn't go in the pan until after he gets in there. So they give him the ladle and the pan. And he takes 2 handfuls and he puts it in the ladle. There's a pasuk. It's the pasuk from the 16th chapter from Vayikra. It's from Acharei Mouse. We brought it at the beginning of the source sheet. It says specifically Meloch Hofnav. It's the fullness of the handfuls. And we assume, because the hands are written in the plural, it's 2 handfuls. So he takes Meloch Hofnav, he takes the handfuls and he puts it into the ladle. Maybe if he's a big Kohen Gadol and he's got big hands, he needs a big ladle. If he's a small Kohen Gadol and he's got small hands, he needs a small ladle. Thus was its measure. Its measure was according to the size of the Kohen Gadol. Natal etamachta bimino v'etakaf b'smolo. So he's going to take the pan in his right hand and the ladle in his left hand. He needs both of them to go into the Kodesh Kodeshim. Hayam al hef behechal ad shemagil levet shtei haparochot ad levet shtei haparochot hamavdilot bein kodesh uvein kodesh hakodoshim uveinehem amah. So he's going to walk through the sanctuary till he comes to the place which is between the 2 curtains. And you remember we had this disagreement as to whether there's 1 curtain or 2 curtains. But it seems as though there are 2 curtains in front of the Kodesh Kodoshim. I suppose so that if 1 curtain is taken away or has an accident, the other one is still in place. So he's going to come to the place between the 2 curtains. Uveinehem amah. Between the 2 curtains, there's 1 amah. That's about 18 inches. It's just about the width of a human being, actually, 18 inches. So he can walk. He can walk, if you like, sideways between the 2 curtains. Rabbi Yossi Omer lo hayta sham ela parochet achat bilvad. And Rabbi Yossi says there's only 1 curtain, and he has a pasuk. He has a pasuk to back himself up. V'hivdilah parochet lachem bein Kodesh uvein Kodesh HaKodashim, and the verse there says ha parochet. So it says the curtain. So Rabbi Yossi says there's 1 curtain, and the halacha doesn't go according to Rabbi Yossi. But we respect his opinion and we preserve it. Hachitzonah hayta prufa min hadarom. So the outer curtain was looped on the south, and what we mean by looped is it was kind of loosely looped. So you could wriggle round the curtain on the south side. You could get round the curtain on the south side. So the outer one is open, if you like, looped but open on the south side. And the inner one on the north side. So what does he do? Malech beinehem. He's going to walk between them. Ad shemagia latzafon. He's going to come in at the south side. And he's going to walk between the two curtains until he gets to the north side. He gets to the north side. Chofef hanav ladarom. He's going to turn south. Malech lismolo im haparochet ad shehu magia la'aron. He's going to walk down the curtain with the curtain on his left until he gets to the Aron Kodesh. So he's going to, if you like, approach the Aron Kodesh from right in front of it, from the curtain, but he walks down the curtain with the curtain on his left until he's right in front of the Aron. He gets to the Aron. Notain et hamachta ben shtei habadim, and he puts the fire pan between the two poles. And we've learned, it's a famous halacha that the poles are always sitting there in the Aron Kodesh. The poles never leave the Aron. There is a midrash that the poles actually stick out through the curtain a little bit. They look like two breasts sticking out. If that's the case, I don't know how. Maybe he's got to duck down a little bit to get between them. He's going to go down to the Aron and he's going to put the fire pan right between the two coals. Savar et ketoret al gabei gechaleb. He puts the incense on top of the coals. Venit maleh kol habayit kulo ashan. And at that point, the whole of the house is filled with smoke. Yatzau valo v'derech beit knisato. Then he comes out by the way that he went in. And in the outer house, he utters, this must be between the two curtains. I guess it must be between the two curtains. We'll see why in a minute. Just when he's on the outside, he utters a short prayer. Just on the outside space. V'lo haya ma'arich b'tfilato. He doesn't make it a long prayer. Shelo havit et Israel, because he doesn't want to frighten the people of Israel. This is the scary point. Is the Kohen Gadol going to come out alive? And we don't know. There's this idea that the rope is tied around his waist to drag him out if he doesn't come out. So he's not going to make it a long prayer because he doesn't want to frighten the people of Israel. This is the danger point. This is the point where he might lose his life. But of course, this is also the point where the health and the lives of the whole of the people of Israel are assured as he goes into the Holy of Holies and puts the incense on top.